welcome to another episode of Conscious Brands, or what is a conscious brand. And I'm have the pleasure today of having Ian Walker, president and founder of Left Coast Natural and Hippie Snacks, with me on the phone here today. Ian, what is? Tell us a little bit about Left Coast and Hippie Snacks.
Sure. Well, I founded both businesses back in '96, and we are a manufacturer and distributor of organic snacks and foods based in Western Canada. So we distribute organic bulk foods in about 30 different brands across Western Canada, and then we manufacture the Hippie Snacks brand and the Left Coast Organics brand, and sell them across Canada and into the US.
So you have quite a few touch points.
Sorry?
Sorry, go on. Yeah.
I was just going to say Hippie Snacks is primarily progressive, better for you snacks that are made locally here.
Well, that's a great segue. Better for you snacks. So to me, it seems like there's some sort of higher purpose there, which we feel is part of being a conscious brand. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on what is a conscious brand.
Well, certainly, over the last 22 years, there's been an evolution there for me and the learnings. So really, I can talk about how I feel today. For me, a conscious brand is really about recognizing, as a leader and as a business, recognizing that you have a responsibility to society and that you're conscious of that responsibility. And the responsibility being that you are a bit of a beacon on how things should be, how people should behave, how companies should behave, how you treat people. And really, it's that consciousness of your role in society and the impact that you have on people that I really think sets conscious brands apart from unconscious brands, if there's such a term.
So you used two words that really resonated with me. One was impact and the other was responsibility. Are there any other words that you would use to describe a conscious brand?
I would use the word care.
Care?
So I think care pulls in a lot of things. It does denote responsibility, but it also denotes passion. It denotes, it brings into it almost that love aspect that really is important in society. So that would be a big one for me. And then I think another one is self-awareness.
Wow, those are awesome, awesome words. And the love. I could see why you have Hippie Snacks. You're all about the love of snacks. What are some of the challenges or roadblocks that Left Coast and Hippie Snacks has faced in becoming a conscious brand?
Well, I think you face a couple. One is just that the gravity in business and in industry tends to be towards mediocre. And so to stand out and try to do things differently, it takes a bit more chutzpah or a bit more pushing hard. So it does take, frankly, some balls to do some of these things. So to push the envelope a little bit, to be a bit different, to try new things. And with that comes some risk. You end up standing above the crowd, and with that, you could get knocked off, you could make a mistake. And really, the path of least resistance is to do, best practices and what everybody else is doing. And really, the brands that most people end up respecting are the ones that kind of march to their own beat and charge forward on those things, knowing that that's just the right thing to do. And knowing that will mean that you are a bit different and you might totally fail doing that. I think there's a little bit of a lack of fear of failing that's important. And then, having the self-awareness that as you go along, sure, you can adjust accordingly. But definitely some of the roadblocks we've faced, you have that one that I've listed. Another one is, you got to remember you're running a business. So sometimes you only have so much manpower and so much human resource, energy and time and financial resources. So you'll have times and periods in the business, especially in startup, sometimes when you're going through high growth, where you may not have the time, energy, or money to dedicate towards these initiatives. So that's where it's really important that everything from sustainability to consciousness actually matters to everybody in the business, because then that means that it'll keep happening, that it's almost a default. Because if it isn't a default, then it's got to be a clear intention, and you have to keep tight discipline to keep doing it. And sometimes that can be hard. So if it really matters to people, then there's going to be an easier default to doing the right thing.
Right on.
That'll mean that you'll get through those periods where there's a bit of a financial crunch, or there's a bit of a human resource crunch. Those are some of the challenges that come in, those pressures.
Mm-hmm. So what sort of leadership is required of a conscious brand to be able to navigate, standing up on that rock and making a declaration of uniqueness and values and purpose?
One thing is confidence in yourself and in your direction that you're going. So if you continue, I think it's a fine line between being self-aware and looking yourself in the mirror, but not overanalyzing. Sometimes you shift gears too much and you never head in one direction. So you have to find that happy medium between having the balls to charge forward on something that's important and means a lot to you, and also being aware of how that's being received and how that's impacting the stakeholders around you. And stakeholders sound so technical, but really those people that you care about around you that will impact society, will impact your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I like that word of care. And the stakeholders. I think it's clear to differentiate that shareholders are what drives a lot of business, and for a conscious brand like yours, like Left Coast and Hippie Snacks, it's about stakeholders. It's about caring about how you're positively impacting their life, or being aware of how there's negative impacts.
Well, it's funny, you raise a good point in that, and it just sort of occurred to me as you were saying that, in that I think one of the tenets of how we operate as a business, as a conscious business, is that we do put, myself, I'm the only shareholder in my business currently, and I really do come last. And not in a bad way, it's more just that if I put everybody else first, then I get to ride along as a shareholder. Mm-hmm. Because the business is lifted, society is lifted, our reputation is enhanced, usually our market stature is enhanced, and it's sort of like if you set out to make all the stakeholders happy, then yourself as a shareholder will just ride along with that. Mm-hmm. When you just shoot to please the shareholder, perhaps all those other things get forgotten, and you're missing some elements to true success.
Finally said. So what advice, Ian, would you give a new or emerging conscious brand that's just starting out or just starting to get into this area of purpose-driven business?
I think you need to have a measure of fearlessness. As I said, there's the path of least resistance, which is doing what everyone else is doing, and sometimes it's hard to do those other things. So be confident in what you're trying to do. Continue to, in a measured manner, look at yourself in the mirror and be self-aware on whether that's resounding out there in the marketplace and with your employees and with the industry. So those are sort of two elements of it. And three, just, this comes back to the confidence. Just know that at the end of the day, you're trying to do the right thing. And even if you fail as a business, you're still succeeding as a human. And, I think if you give most people the option on whether they are successful as a human or they fail as a business, they'll choose being a successful human always.
Wow. I don't have anything to add to that other than just deep gratitude for your wisdom. And I'm sure the 20 years that you've spent...
I don't know about
wisdom. Or the fearlessness. One of the two. Yeah. Awesome, Ian. Well, thank you so much. And we'll look forward to seeing Left Coast and Hippie Snacks on the shelves, and know that when we purchase those, we're supporting a great business and a great leader. Thanks so much.
And thanks to you, Rob. I appreciate that you continue to look in the mirror and assess the industry and try to actually pull the pieces together on what does this mean? Because there's so many of us that are doing these things, but we're not actually pausing and thinking about what are we actually doing? How can others learn from this? So that's where I appreciate that you're actually going out there and doing that. and you're a part of it. A lot of us that are successful have people like you behind the scenes that are helping us and coaching us and challenging us. So don't forget that importance as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay.
Okay.